What is going on, guys? It's Joe Metlow with Next Level Auto Detail, and today we're going to be talking about the Lake Country LambsWool pad and how effective it is at removing sanding scratches. So before we start the video, it is raining, so I do want to apologize about the audio or interference, so I'm going to talk as loud as possible and hopefully you guys understand. So today we're working on this really badass Chevelle. It was obviously painted, and that means a body shop touched it, so that means obviously we have sanding marks, scratches, and rotary swirls, all that good stuff. However, when I say sanding, a lot of people are going to think like Jason Kilmer sanded this. No, Jason Kilmer definitely did not sand this. Sanding scratches could be tossed out in a lot of ways, and these are indeed sanding scratches. That means the sandpaper gouged and scratched the paint. That means that could have potentially turned into 600 grit, 800 grit, and really scratched the paint. My advice to you is to charge accordingly, because it's not just wash swirling. These are scratches, deeper scratches. Sometimes, in most cases, wet sanding needs to be required, and it really depends on the level that your client wants to take it to. So always price accordingly on these, because it's not just a two-step paint correction. So I don't want to drag out the video too long. Today we're going to be talking about the Lake Country LambsWool pad. I'm going to talk about why it's my pad of choice to remove these marks and why it's so effective. So let's get started. So I'm in absolute love with this pad so far, and you guys might be saying, Joe, why aren't you using the 3-inch to edge this out? I'm going to be talking about something very important in this video as well, besides just the pad. We're going to be talking about pad tilt and pad angle. So we're going to be talking about pad tilt and why this is my pad of choice for a situation like this. So you could see this has a slight angle. It might look flat, but it's not really flat. You could see how concave it is. So if you're using a 6-inch pad, that's why I'm using a 5-inch backing plate on my G21. Okay, it may look like the pad is flat, but it's not. It's kind of like this. So that means that there's a space in between where the pad is. So in order to be effective, a newbie is just going to come in and it's going to spin and it's going to spin, but they're not hitting this area or this area. Does that make sense? Because there's a gap where the pad is. So you have to tilt the pad in order to get those marks out. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. So right now, me holding the machine like that, I'm not removing defects here or here, just in this middle portion. Does that make sense? So in order for me to be effective, I'm gonna have to tilt the machine. You see how I'm putting it on an angle? And then when I get back here, I'm gonna do the same thing. Hello? Earlier, you guys saw me tilting the pad. I was digging in. I wasn't going like this, because if you're just going like this with the machine on, it's kind of just hovering over those scratches. All the correction comes from the backing plate. That's the power band of your correction. So, you see how the backing plate is up right now? It's not really on top of that edge right here. So once I go like this, I'm engaging the pad, I'm engaging the back plate to that area. If we just try to go like this, yeah, it's gonna hit it a little bit, but we are not being efficient at all at defect removal here. Only here, in this little square in the middle, we're not being effective here and we're not being effective here. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. So
I did a 50-50 obviously up there. I'm going to show you guys the difference between tilting the pad and not tilting the pad. So I'm going to just keep the pad straight and try to do the best that we can. So we did a few passes, worked the product in. Now let's see what we did. Middle looks good, right? Because what did I say? The middle of the pad, but look at the top. Remember I said the middle, we're going to be okay. There was scratches and defects. But I said we're not going to be effective below or at the top. And that's because we did not change the angle of the pad. We did not introduce any pad tilt. Now that we did that already, that's the difference between not tilting the pad, and this is the difference between tilting the pad. Now, you might be saying, Joe, there's still some in there. I see it. Guys, that was one pass. Remember, those are deep scratches. Those aren't just wash swirls. And compare that to tilting the pad to not tilting the pad. You could see the difference. So the thing is about tilting the pad and getting on that edge, it could be intimidating, especially if you're new. But that's what needs to be done. I'm experienced, I'm knowledgeable, and if I wanted to correct that without tilting the pad, or being able to rise the machine so I could get that angle, I would never be able to remove this. Never. Because especially with the pad this big, I cannot engage that backing plate. So remember, the power band of your correction is all from the backing plate. Just because a pad is hitting and it appears that it's correcting, it's really, really not. So that's why you'll see me tilting the pad, engaging the pad in different ways to keep it spinning. Because if you just keep it flat, it's not going to remove that. So now we're going to do a quick tilt of the pad. Okay, now we're going to introduce tilting the pad. And we are going to knock as much as we can with one buffing cycle. Now, the LambsWool pad is perfect for this application of tilting the pad and angling the polisher into the right location so you can remove these defects effective and fast. So this pad is perfect because of the interface. It could bend, which means it softens up that backing plate, so it keeps us safe, it gives us a cushion, and we have plenty of power and contour ability to really get in that edge and edge it out nicely. So I'm tilting the pad, kind of back like this. Once I get in the middle, I straighten out. When I come back up, I'm going to do another pass. Now you'll notice how I get away from this area pretty quick. That's because heat. You don't want to overwork the area, but the LambsWool keeps it very, very cool. Keeps the pad cool, keeps the back plate cool, and it keeps the paint cool as well. Now, I'm going to show you guys the drastic improvement by tilting the pad. Because everyone's taught to keep the pad flat, and when your eyes visually see it hitting at the top, you think you're getting it done, and you might think that scratch is super stubborn, but it's not. You just have to manipulate the machine and properly get into the power band of your backing plate. You see the difference, guys? Now, if I would have done 5 more passes keeping that pad flat, those would have never came out. But because I tilted the pad and manipulated the machine, and I got the backing plate right on that edge, look at that difference. And that's something that a lot of people aren't really taught online on YouTube, and that's basically comes from experience, and that can be scary, I get it, but that's what has to be done. So yeah, those are not normal wash swirls. Those are sanding scratches. That means the body shop buffed this car and they did not get those out. Those are sanding scratches, not consistent scratches, scratches. So look at that. So I hope that helps some of you guys. I gotta get this thing done. I would like to make more videos about it. I might record later down the road, but I do have to get this done. And if you guys are asking, can you do that with a microfiber foam? Yes. The reason why I chose the LambsWool is obviously because of the sanding marks and scratches. And you can use microfiber, but these introduce a lot more heat for that type of application. So these are gonna run cooler, they're gonna cut more effectively, and in those little areas and grooves where I have to get aggressive on but still safe, this is my pad of choice, because look at the size of the fibers. This gives me that extra cushion, so when I bend that backing plate in there, I have this groove, and look at this material. I could kind of bend in there, so I could be a knife, precise knife, like a scalpel, okay? So I get in there and I edge it out, so I'm being aggressive and safe. And I do have to say, guys, this pad is ridiculous. It really is. It does lint, but it's low lint compared to others or others in the past. It's definitely minute compared to the other ones, but there is some linting involved, but it's not bad at all. And you guys know how I like to keep things clean and I don't like wiping and doing all that, but this pad is a badass pad. I would recommend for you guys to pick a few of these up to have them in the shop. This would work on any 8mm DA. It'll actually enhance that if you guys have a Griot's Garage 6-inch, a Porter cable, whatever the case is. If you want to be effective at defect removal, this will actually wake up your machine and give you that much more cutting power. And it's a comfortable experience, so I definitely highly recommend the LambsWool pad, guys. It is the real deal, and they are expensive, but they are worth every penny. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy the video, give it a like. It does help the channel grow, and we are closing in on 3,000 subscribers. So I know a lot of you guys follow me, but don't have the subscribe button on, so make sure you hit the button. And we have a lot of cool content coming out, and I'm excited about the future and what it has in store. Again, we have so much stuff to talk about, guys. You have no idea. So if you did appreciate the tips, give us a like. I will see you guys in the next time. I got to get the Chevelle done, and we are prepping it for Crystal Serum Light and Nexo. I know I'm going to get that question, so I'll see you guys next time. I appreciate all of you.